Howdy folks, I'll make a quick video here on the topic of HDR10 and HDR Dolby Vision. Do you need it? Is it a gimmick? Maybe perhaps in the future when I have more time, maybe I'll make videos of my setup and all the things that I own. But until then, I'm just gonna have this background here while I speak about HDR. You know, the latest technology is it's always good to have the latest technology, but as far as like consumer wise, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money just to get something that is just you're not gonna see much of a difference from like a regular 4K UHD movie to a 4K movie that has Dolby Vision. As far as I'm concerned, HDR10, obviously it's not as good as Dolby Vision, but HDR10, tell you the truth, it's not even that great. I prefer no HDR, because when you go ahead and when you watch a movie and when the HDR setting comes up, it doesn't matter if you're playing on an Xbox console or a player, the settings is going to change when you have HDR content. It'll look dim at first the first time you play an HDR movie, but you can just go set the settings, to make it to your liking as far as the brightness or the contrast go when it switches to HDR mode. But some TVs, when HDR pops up, it doesn't change the settings. But if it does, you can just go ahead and set it and change it. That being said, a lot of times, a lot of movies that are not optimized to run HDR, such as like, for instance, Netflix, even though Netflix has HDR, but when you watch Netflix in 4K and HDR pops up, as far as the visual for me is, I prefer to have the HDR content off and watch Netflix in regular or play game in regular without HDR. That's just my opinion on HDR 10 or Dolby Vision. Now, if you really want to take advantage of Dolby Vision, the thing is, to me, for most consumers, it's not gonna be worth it, because you gotta go get one of the best players, which is probably the Oppo, that to play your movie. Then you gotta buy 4K movies media, which that not all comes in has Dolby Vision. On top of that, you gotta get a pretty decent 4K UHD TV that can run Dolby Vision, and not to mention the correct wires, and it gets pretty spendy just to run Dolby Vision. So I say, if you have the money, go ahead and get everything that you can do with Dolby Vision like I do. But technically, it's not really necessary to have, it's not a must-have. It's, more like a preference, but it's not even worth it, because you got to pay. You got to get all the players. And like I said, probably, the Sony. Actually, Sony probably doesn't play. The cheap Sony does play. The lower LGs can do Dolby Vision, but most movies are filmed in 2K anyway. So really, the only setup, for my opinion, to run Dolby Vision is you get a decent high-end Dolby Vision TV, and you better order yourself an Oppo player if you want. And obviously a pretty decent AVR receiver to run Dolby Vision if you want the best content, and not to mention you gotta buy the disc. That's if you want to really run for Dolby Vision. But for me, I don't really mind that I still don't believe that the 4K resolution is optimized to where it should be. But that's okay, because you know why? I believe in the 4K audio, Dolby Atmos. It is here. It is ready. I will always still buy 4K movies. The resolution is good enough for me. But as far as if you're gonna expect go from a 2K HD to the 4K UHD resolution, there's not gonna be much of a difference. But if you like surround sound home theater like I do, it is worth getting everything that's 4K for the Dolby Atmos, because that sound is amazing. That sound is here. But as far as 4K resolution goes, um, the closest thing you're gonna get without having a source from the company, the closest thing you can ever get will, like I said, you better get one of the higher end Dolby Vision TVs, one of the best higher end AVR receivers that do Dolby Vision, and you better have any Oppo that can do Dolby Vision UHD. And on top of that, the disc that actually have the what do you call Dolby Vision content, that would be the closest thing you're gonna get to HDR Dolby Vision at this 2018, and I'm sure they will improve in the future. And yes, Dolby Vision is, as far as HDR is concerned, Dolby Vision is the best you can get. But but don't expect big bangs for your buck. But as far as like 4K audio, Dolby Atmos, you're set to go. That's here, that's ready, that's now. One quick note though, if you have a 4K receiver, but you don't have a 4K player or a 4K TV for that matter, if you have a regular like a regular Blu-ray player 2K, and you put in like Transformers 4 with I think it's called Extinction with Mark Wahlberg. It comes with Dolby Atmos, but even though that disc is only 2K, if you pop that Blu-ray disc in your regular HD player, but if you run it with a 4K receiver, you will get Dolby Atmos output decoded from the regular HD player. If that sounds confusion, don't worry about it. That's just letting you know that's possible if you don't have a 4K TV and you don't have a 4K player, but you do have a 4K receiver that you can do a pass-through for Dolby Atmos, even though you have a 2K TV. Those who has that would know what I'm talking about. But that just reiterate, it is possible to run a 2K movie that comes with the Dolby Atmos decode on a regular HD player, as long as you have a 4K UHD receiver, whether you have a 4K player, 4K TV or not. As long as you have a disc that can do 4K audio will come out. That I say that just so you know that you can test the audio without jumping into a 4K TV. If you don't need to upgrade to a 4K TV, because if your TV is fine, you don't need to buy a 4K TV if you have a decent 2K TV. But the sound, I recommend, if you can get your hands on the sound, the 4K sound, the 4K audio, Dolby Atmos, go and get that. If you can, if you don't want to upgrade to a 4K TV, but if you want a 4K TV anyway, just get the whole shebang, And back to the Dolby Vision, I love it and all, but it's not worth the money, because you gotta buy all those gears just to run Dolby Vision, and I'm not saying it's a gimmick. I'm just saying that the regular 4K is just fine as far as HDR goes. HDR gaming is amazing, but as far as HDR for movies is it's actually not even, it's not that much better. So guys, have a good day. Dragons out.